Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
We're thankful for your continued viewership. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? We love knowing our global reach. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, False Paradise. Devin Mercer checked his watch as he waited for his client to arrive. The outdoor cafe offered a perfect view of downtown Philadelphia, a city where he'd built his reputation as one of the most sought-after private security consultants on the East Coast. At 42, Devin carried himself with the controlled confidence that came from 15 years in naval intelligence, followed by 7 running his own security firm. His dark brown hair showed hints of silver at the temples, and a scar that ran along his jawline served as a reminder of lessons learned in Damascus years ago. "Mr. Hughes is here," the hostess announced, gesturing toward a nervous-looking man in an expensive but rumpled suit. Devin stood, his 6'2" frame imposing without effort. "Lawrence, sit. Tell me what's troubling you." Lawrence Hughes slid into the chair, eyes darting around the patio. "Someone's been accessing my research. Materials missing. Files corrupted." Devin nodded, studying the pharmaceutical executive. "And you think it's internal?" "Has to be. The security on our servers is top tier. No system is impenetrable, Lawrence. Not with the right motivation." Devin took a sip of his black coffee. "I'll need full access. Background checks on everyone who's touched your research in the last year." Hughes nodded frantically. "Whatever it takes. This research, it's a breakthrough treatment for early-onset Alzheimer's. Worth billions." As they finalized the details, Devin's phone vibrated. A text from his wife, Lydia. "Don't forget, parent-teacher conference at 5. Ms. Braddock says Theo's been distracted lately." Devin felt a momentary pang of guilt. 7-year-old Theo had been having trouble adjusting since they'd moved to the suburbs 6 months ago. Lydia had insisted on the move, citing better schools and a yard for Theo to play in. The timing had seemed odd, the middle of the school year, but she'd been adamant. "I'll have a preliminary assessment by the end of the week," Devin told Hughes, shaking his hand with a grip that communicated confidence. Devin's home office was his sanctuary, a converted sunroom with bulletproof windows and a security system he'd designed himself. The wall-to-wall bookshelves contained volumes on cryptography, cybersecurity, and Cold War espionage alongside framed photos. Devin in his Navy uniform, his wedding to Lydia 6 years ago in Lake Tahoe, Theo's kindergarten graduation. Theo had been 18 months old when Devin met Lydia at a cybersecurity conference in Boston. She'd been representing a data encryption firm, brilliant and captivating with her auburn hair and penetrating green eyes. For months later, they were married, and Devin had officially adopted Theo, whose biological father had never been in the picture. Devin logged into his security system and reviewed the day's footage. A habit from his days in intelligence: trust but verify. Everything looked normal. The cleaning service had come at 10 a.m. Lydia had taken Theo to school and then gone her yoga class. Their neighbor Floyd Winters had dropped off a package. But something caught Devin's eye. At 12:43 p.m., while Lydia was supposedly at yoga, the doorbell camera showed her arriving home with a man Devin didn't recognize, tall, broad-shouldered, with a close-cropped beard. They entered the house together, staying for 22 minutes before leaving in separate cars. Devin replayed the footage, zooming in on the man's face. No alarm bells yet. It could be innocent. A delivery that required signature, a contractor for the kitchen remodel they'd been discussing. But when he checked Lydia's text messages remotely, another system he'd quietly implemented after noticing discrepancies in her stories, he found nothing about visitors or home repairs. The parent-teacher conference went as expected. Ms. Braddock, a competent young teacher with thick-rimmed glasses, expressed concern over Theo's attention span. "He seems preoccupied, worried about something. Has he mentioned anything specific?" Lydia asked, her hand resting protectively on Theo's shoulder. Ms. Braddock hesitated. "He's been drawing pictures of a house I don't recognize. When I asked about it, he said it was a secret place." Devin felt Lydia tense beside him. "Kids have active imaginations," she said quickly. We'll talk to him. That night, after Theo was asleep, Devin pulled out one of his drawings from his backpack. A crude rendering of a cabin surrounded by trees, with a pond nearby. Devin didn't recognize it from any vacation or day trip they'd taken. Any idea what this is? He asked Lydia as she applied night cream to her face. She barely glanced at it. Probably something he saw in a book or movie. Ms. Braddock seemed concerned. Lydia turned, her expression hardening slightly before softening into a smile. You know how teachers can be. They're trained to see problems everywhere. She kissed him lightly. Come to bed. You've been working too hard lately. Devin returned to his office after Lydia fell asleep. He enhanced the security footage of the bearded visitor, running the image through facial recognition software he wasn't technically supposed to have access to anymore. 3 matches came back, all with different names. A professional using aliases. Red flag number 1. He created a new encrypted folder labeled discrepancies and began documenting everything that didn't add up. The unexplained visitor. Lydia's insistence on moving. The strange drawing. Small inconsistencies in her daily routines. As the first light of dawn filtered through the blinds, Devin came to a decision. He would increase surveillance, but subtly. If his suspicions were unfounded, Lydia would never know. And if they weren't, he needed evidence before confrontation. He slipped back into bed beside his sleeping wife, studying her face in repose. Who are you really? He wondered, feeling the first cracks forming in the foundation of what he'd believed was an unshakable truth. Chapter 2. Shadows and Whispers. The next week brought more anomalies. Twice, Lydia took Theo to playdates at homes Devin couldn't locate in any school directory. Her phone often showed she was at the local gym when GPS trackers he'd discreetly placed in her car indicated she was miles away. And the bearded man, identified through multiple databases as probably Nolan Forrest, former private military contractor with a spotty service record, had appeared twice more, once meeting Lydia at a coffee shop 20 miles from their home. Devin maintained his routine, revealing nothing. In his line of work, information was power, and premature confrontation was amateur hour. Instead, he expanded his surveillance network and began teaching Theo subtle safety protocols disguised as games. If you ever feel scared and I'm not there, what do you do? Devin asked as they built a Lego fortress together. Call you, Theo answered, his small fingers placing a yellow brick precisely. And if you can't call, hide somewhere with 2 exits. Count to 100, then try calling again. Good. And what if someone asks you to keep a secret from me or Mom? Theo paused, his blue eyes, so like Lydia's, clouding with confusion. Mom says some surprises are good secrets. Devin kept his expression neutral. What kind of surprises? Like the special house. It's a surprise for later. What special house, buddy? But Theo had already moved on, making explosion sounds as an imaginary enemy attacked their Lego creation. That night, Devin installed a small tracker in Theo's favorite sneakers and a secondary GPS in his backpack, disguised as a decorative keychain. He also replaced Theo's regular watch with a new one that contained emergency communication capabilities. A tap pattern would send Devin an alert with location data. The next morning, Devin followed Lawrence Hughes into the secure research facility. The pharmaceutical company's labs were state-of-the-art, but Devin immediately spotted 3 security vulnerabilities that a professional could exploit. Your research assistant, Brennan Walsh. How long has he worked here? Devin asked, reviewing personnel files. About 8 months. Brilliant mind. PhD from Stanford at 26. Devin studied Walsh's employment record. And before that, some startup in Boston that folded. We were lucky to get him. Boston, where Lydia had worked before they met. Possibly nothing, but Devin filed it away mentally. I want to interview everyone individually, Devin told Hughes. Starting with Walsh. Brennan Walsh proved unremarkable in person. Earnest, slightly awkward, clearly intimidated by Devin's questioning. Nothing in his manner suggested deception, but Devin had interrogated enough professionals to know that meant little. One last question, Dr. Walsh. This research, I understand it involves a compound that affects memory pathways. Walsh nodded eagerly. The treatment targets specific neural connections associated with memory degradation. In early trials, it's shown promise not just in slowing Alzheimer's progression, but potentially reversing early damage. Any military applications? Memory enhancement? Cognitive manipulation? Walsh looked startled. Theoretically, I suppose, with significant modifications. But that's not. Just covering all bases, Devin interjected smoothly. Thank you for your time. By Thursday, Devin had eliminated most of the research team as security risks, but his instincts kept circling back to Walsh. Something about the timing bothered him. Walsh arriving in Philadelphia just 2 months before Lydia had pushed for their move from D.C. That afternoon, Lydia called. I'm taking Theo to the park after school. We might be late for dinner. Which park? Devin asked casually. A slight pause. West Side, the one with a new climbing structure. Have fun, Devin replied, already pulling up the tracker on Theo's backpack. After they hung up, he called his most trusted associate from his Navy days. Vince, I need a discreet tale. Target is my wife and son. I'll send locations. Vince Monroe, a former intelligence officer who'd saved Devin's life in Kandahar, asked no questions. On it, regular updates. Every 15 minutes. And Vince? If anything seems off, anything at all, intervene first, call second. Devin returned to Hughes Pharmaceuticals, requesting access to their secure server room. As he suspected, there was evidence of a sophisticated breach, subtle, but detectable to someone who knew what to look for. The intrusion had bypassed several security protocols using high-level administrative credentials. His phone buzzed with a text from Vince. Target not at West Side Park. Tracking shows Northridge Road, heading out of city limits. Devin checked the GPS data. They were heading northwest, toward the mountains. Without hesitation, he called Hughes. Family emergency. I'll continue the assessment tomorrow. As Devin followed the tracker's signal in his SUV, Vince maintained a discreet distance behind Lydia's car. They wound through increasingly rural roads until the signal stopped at a location 30 miles outside the city, a wooded area with a small pond. Cabin matches child's drawing, Vince texted, sending a photo taken with a telephoto lens. There was Lydia's car parked beside a rustic cabin that looked exactly like Theo's drawing. A black SUV was parked nearby. Devin positioned himself in the woods with a clear view of the cabin, his mind racing through scenarios. Was Lydia having an affair? Was this something more sinister? The cabin door opened, and Nolan Forrest emerged, followed by another man Devin didn't recognize, and then Lydia, her hand firmly gripping Theo's shoulder. Theo looked uncomfortable, dragging his feet as they walked toward the pond. Devin zoomed in with his binoculars. Lydia's expression was tense, her smile forced as she pointed out something in the water to Theo. Devin circled around to get a closer position, careful to stay concealed. Through an open window, he could hear fragments of conversation. Not what we agreed, Lydia was saying, her voice sharper than Devin had ever heard it. He's just a child. Time's running out, the unknown man replied. Walsh says they're getting close. We need leverage. Use me then, not Theo. Forrest laughed darkly. You're already compromised. The husband suspects something. Devin doesn't suspect anything, Lydia insisted. He trusts me completely. Your husband didn't survive 15 years in naval intelligence by being stupid, the unknown man said. The moment he connects you to Boston. He won't, Lydia interrupted. Those records are buried. Devin retreated silently, processing this new information. Boston. Records. Walsh. The pieces were starting to align, but the complete picture remained elusive. One thing was clear, Theo was in danger, and Lydia was somehow involved. He texted Vince, stay on them. I'm heading back to the city. Need to check something. 3 hours later, Devin sat in his home office, scrolling through documents he'd requested from contacts still active in intelligence. Lydia Bennett, her maiden name, had indeed worked for a Boston data security firm, but before that, there was a 2-year gap in her employment history. A gap that coincided with a classified operation involving memory-enhancing compounds developed by a defense contractor. The same contractor that had mysteriously lost its funding just as Hughes Pharmaceuticals began its breakthrough Alzheimer's research. Devin's phone rang. Vince. They're heading back to the city. Taking a different route, but destination appears to be your home. Understood. Stand down for now. Devin cleared his research, reset the security cameras to erase any evidence of his early return, and positioned himself in the kitchen, preparing dinner as if nothing had happened. When Lydia and Theo arrived, he greeted them with practiced normalcy. "How was the park?" "Fun," Theo exclaimed, though his eyes darted nervously to his mother. "Exhausting," Lydia sighed, setting down her purse. Theo made a new friend. They played for hours. "Oh, what's his name?" Devin asked his son directly. Before Theo could answer, Lydia interjected. "Max. His mom's new to the area. We might have them over sometime." That night, after both Lydia and Theo were asleep, Devin sat alone in his darkened office. On his screen was a decoded message from an old Navy contact. Boston operation codenamed Mnemosyne. Experimental compound designed to recover lost memories and enhance retention. Project terminated after ethical concerns. 3 key scientists disappeared. Suspected corporate espionage. Next to this information was Lydia's graduate research paper from MIT. Neurochemical pathways in memory formation and retrieval. Her co-author, Dr. Brennan Walsh. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture Devin could barely comprehend. His wife, the woman he'd trusted with his heart and his son, was part of something that now threatened them both. He closed his eyes, letting the rage wash through him, acknowledging it, then setting it aside. Emotion was a liability now. He needed clarity, strategy. He opened a new document and began planning methodically and thoroughly, as he'd been trained to do. By dawn, Devin Mercer had mapped out 3 possible scenarios and corresponding responses. In each one, 2 priorities remained constant: Theo's safety and accountability for those involved. Forgiveness wasn't in his vocabulary, never had been. Chapter 3. The Desperate Call. 4 days later, Devin sat across from Lawrence Hughes in a secure meeting room at the pharmaceutical company. "Your security has been compromised by someone with intimate knowledge of your systems," Devin explained, sliding a folder across the table. "Dr. Walsh has been extracting research data and transmitting it to an outside party." Hughes paled. "Are you certain?" "He's been instrumental in our breakthroughs. I don't make accusations without evidence." Devin opened the folder, displaying surveillance photos, network logs, and decoded communications. "He's working with these individuals." He placed photos of Nolan Forrest and the unknown man from the cabin on the table. "What do they want with our research?" "That's what concerns me." Devin leaned forward. "Your Alzheimer's treatment could be modified for other purposes: memory enhancement, cognitive manipulation, even targeted memory erasure. Military applications worth far more than a medical treatment." "God," Hughes whispered. "What do we do?" "Nothing yet. We're going to set a trap." Devin outlined his plan, allowing Walsh to believe he'd successfully extracted the final components of the research while actually feeding him modified data. "When they attempt to synthesize the compound using our altered formula, it will be inert, useless. And then we'll have leverage when they come looking for the real formula." Devin stood. "I need 24 hours to put everything in place." Hughes nodded, clearly shaken. "Whatever you need." That evening, Devin maintained his routine at home, giving no indication of what he knew or planned. As they ate dinner, he studied Lydia, wondering how much of their life together had been genuine. Had she ever loved him, or was he simply a means to an end? A security expert whose clearances and connections could be exploited? "You're quiet tonight," Lydia observed, refilling his wine glass. "Big case," he replied. "Almost wrapped up." "The pharmaceutical company?" "That's good." Her smile seemed genuine. "Maybe we could take a vacation after. Theo's been asking about the beach." Devin nodded, amazed at her composure. "That sounds perfect." After dinner, he helped Theo with his science project, carefully reviewing the emergency protocols he'd taught him, disguising them as part of their usual game. "Remember, buddy, if you ever feel scared and can't reach me on your watch, what's our special code word?" "Lighthouse," Theo answered confidently. "And I tap 3 times, wait, then 2 more." "Perfect." Devin ruffled his hair. You're getting so good at this. Later, alone in his office, Devin finalized his preparations. The trap at Hughes Pharmaceuticals was set. Walsh would access what he thought was the complete formula tomorrow. Devin had also arranged for comprehensive surveillance on the cabin and placed assets near Theo's school as a precaution. The final piece was the most painful. He recorded a video message for Theo, explaining everything in terms a 7-year-old could understand, to be delivered only if things went catastrophically wrong. Devin had survived this long by planning for every contingency, even the unthinkable. The next morning proceeded normally. Devin kissed Lydia goodbye, gave Theo an extra-long hug, and headed to Hughes Pharmaceuticals. By noon, Walsh had taken the bait, accessing and downloading the modified research data. Devin tracked the data packet to an external server, confirming his suspicions about the operation's sophistication. He was about to notify Hughes when his secure phone vibrated, a text from Vince. Target 2 removed from school by Target 1. Heading northwest again. Devin's pulse quickened. They were moving earlier than anticipated. He immediately checked the tracker in Theo's backpack, confirming they were indeed heading toward the cabin. A call to the school revealed Lydia had signed Theo out, claiming a dental appointment. He was preparing to intercept them when his regular phone lit up with Theo's contact information. The emergency signal: 3 taps, pause, 2 taps. Theo? Buddy, are you okay? He answered immediately. A whisper came through, barely audible. Daddy, help. Mommy brought me to a strange house. She told a scary man. He knows too much, just like his father. Dad, the man is trying to break down the door. He said time to go to sleep forever. Hurry. Devin's blood froze. Where are you exactly, Theo? In the bathroom. I locked the door like you taught me. Theo's voice trembled. The house with the pond. From my drawing. I know exactly where you are. Stay hidden. I'm coming right now. Devin was already moving, grabbing his go bag from the office safe. Remember what we practiced? Find something to defend yourself with. Count your breaths. I'm scared, Daddy. I know, buddy. But you're doing everything right. I'm so proud of you. Devin kept his voice steady as he raced to his car. Can you keep the phone on? Stay as quiet as possible, but don't hang up. A crash sounded in the background, followed by Theo's terrified whimper. Theo, Devin called, his heart pounding. Theo. The line went dead. Devin gunned the engine, weaving through traffic as he activated his entire network. Vince was already en route to the cabin. 2 other former operatives were standing by. Law enforcement would take too long and ask too many questions. This would be handled his way. As he sped toward the mountains, Devin's mind was crystalline in its focus. The confusion and betrayal had burned away, leaving only cold, calculated fury. Lydia, Forrest, Walsh, and whoever else was involved. They had made a critical error in threatening his son. Devin Mercer had made a name for himself in naval intelligence, not for his technical skills, though those were exceptional, but for his uncompromising response to threats. Colleagues had nicknamed him the Consequence because when he was done, enemies understood exactly what it meant to cross certain lines. Now, as the cabin came into view, that part of him, the part he'd tried to bury in suburban domesticity, resurfaced with merciless clarity. Whoever had threatened his son would learn what real fear felt like. And Lydia, his wife, his betrayer, would understand that some sins couldn't be forgiven. The GPS showed Theo's watch was still in the cabin, still working, still transmitting, still alive. Devin parked a quarter-mile away and moved through the woods with the silent efficiency of a predator. Through his scope, he counted 4 individuals. Lydia on the porch, looking agitated, Forrest and the unknown man outside the bathroom door, attempting to break it down, and a 4th person, Walsh, pacing nervously by the window. His comms unit crackled. Vince's voice, in position south of the cabin. 2 more hostiles in the perimeter. Armed. Neutralize them, Devin ordered quietly. No sound. Copy that. Devin circled to the east side of the cabin, where a window would give him access to the hallway leading to the bathroom. As he prepared to make his move, he heard Lydia's voice, raised in what sounded like genuine panic. Stop. This wasn't the plan. You promised he wouldn't be harmed. Plans change, the unknown man replied coldly. The kid's seen our faces. Heard too much. I won't let you hurt my son. Lydia moved toward the bathroom door, positioning herself between the men and the door. The unknown man gestured to Forrest, who grabbed Lydia roughly by the arm. Your maternal instincts are touching, but a little late, he sneered. You made your choice in Boston. Now move aside. In that moment, Devin made his decision. Whatever Lydia's original intentions, she was trying to protect Theo now. That bought her seconds, not forgiveness. His comms unit signaled again, 2 clicks. Vince had neutralized the perimeter guards. It was time. Chapter 4. Blood and Leverage. Devin moved with practiced precision, silent as he breached the east window. A flashbang grenade rolled down the hallway, detonating with disorienting brilliance as he entered, tactical goggles protecting his vision. In the ensuing chaos, he located Theo's bathroom door and placed himself between it and the threats. Nolan Forrest recovered first, reaching for his weapon. Devin's response was immediate and brutal. 3 rapid strikes that left the man unconscious, his gun now in Devin's possession. The unknown man lunged forward, but Vince appeared from the front entrance, weapon trained on his chest. Don't, Vince warned, his voice flat. Walsh cowered in the corner, hands raised. I'm not armed. This wasn't my idea. Lydia stood frozen, eyes wide with shock. Devin, ignoring her, Devin spoke quietly to the bathroom door. Theo, it's Dad. You're safe now. Open the door, buddy. The lock clicked, and Theo burst out, throwing himself into his father's arms. Devin held him tight, checking quickly for injuries before positioning him behind his body. Vince, get Theo to the car, Devin ordered, his eyes never leaving the 3 conscious captives. Standard evasion protocols. I'll meet you at the fallback location. As Vince escorted a trembling Theo from the cabin, Devin finally turned his full attention to Lydia. Start talking. You have 30 seconds before I decide you're not worth keeping alive. The unknown man laughed, despite the gravity of his situation. Your wife's been playing you from the beginning, Mercer. She was one of our best operatives. The marriage, the devoted mother act, all a cover to access your intelligence contacts. Devin, that's not true, Lydia pleaded. Not entirely. Yes, it started as an assignment, but 20 seconds, Devin interrupted, his voice devoid of emotion. We were developing a memory compound in Boston, she rushed on. Military applications. But there were side effects, dangerous ones. I wanted to destroy the research. They wanted to weaponize it. So you stole it, Devin concluded. And they've been hunting you ever since. The unknown man sneered. Until she made a deal. Your security expertise for her freedom. Walsh here would recreate the formula under Hughes Pharmaceuticals' legitimate research. She'd help extract it using your system's knowledge. 10 seconds. Lydia's composure cracked. I was trying to protect Theo. They threatened him when I wanted out. Said they'd take him if I didn't cooperate. Today was supposed to be the final handoff, but Elias changed the terms. She gestured to the unknown man. He ordered Theo eliminated as a liability. Devin's expression remained impassive as he processed her words. The tactical part of his mind noted that the third man, now identified as Elias, was the operation leader. The husband in him registered Lydia's betrayal with a pain that was quickly transmuted into cold resolve. Here's what happens next, Devin said quietly. You 3 are coming with me. You're going to tell me everything. Who you work for, what they want with the formula, and every person involved in threatening my son. Or what? Elias challenged. Devin smiled thinly. Or I'll demonstrate exactly why certain people in certain agencies still have nightmares about operations I ran in Damascus. He secured all 3 with zip ties, placed hoods over their heads, and marched them to a second vehicle hidden nearby. After ensuring they couldn't see their route, he drove to an abandoned warehouse he'd prepared as a contingency. Inside, concrete walls and distance from any other structures ensured privacy. Devin positioned his captives in separate areas, removing Elias's hood first. Let's begin with you, Devin said, setting up recording equipment. Brennan Walsh developed a compound that could enhance memory retention. Side effects included potential for memory manipulation, creating false memories, enhancing real ones, or targeted erasure. Your organization wanted it weaponized. Who do you work for? Elias smirked. You don't have the authority for this kind of interrogation anymore, Mercer. You're a civilian playing dress-up. That's where you're wrong. Devin leaned closer. As a civilian, I have no oversight, no rules of engagement, no one monitoring my methods. He displayed a syringe filled with clear liquid. Ironically, this is a derivative of Walsh's early work. It won't kill you, but will make the next 12 hours extremely unpleasant unless I administer the counteragent. Your nervous system will interpret every sensation as pain. Elias's smirk faltered. You're bluffing. Damascus, 2014. Operation Quicksilver. Ask your superiors what happened to the arms dealer we captured. Devin prepared the injection site with clinical detachment. Last chance. Wait. Elias's composure cracked. I'm with Axiom Strategic Solutions. Private military contractor. We were hired by foreign interests, Chinese military intelligence. For what purpose? Cognitive enhancement for their elite forces, and targeted interrogation techniques that would be untraceable. The subject wouldn't even know they'd revealed information. Devin continued methodically extracting information, names, contacts, operational details. When he finished with Elias, he moved to Walsh, who broke immediately, confirming what Elias had revealed and adding technical details about the compound. Finally, he approached Lydia, removing her hood. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but dry. Her expression a mixture of fear and defiance. Was any of it real? Devin asked, the only personal question he would allow himself. Lydia met his gaze. It became real. Not at first, but over time. I grew to love you. And Theo, I've loved him from the moment I first held him. Yet you risked his life. I was trying to protect him. When I realized what Axiom planned to do with the formula, I attempted to destroy the research. They threatened to kill him unless I recovered it. Using you as the original plan? Yes. But then I tried to find another way. By helping Walsh recreate the formula at Hughes Pharmaceuticals. She nodded. A modified version. One that appeared to work, but had a fatal flaw only I knew about. I was going to give them the flawed formula today, take Theo, and disappear. Using resources and identities you'd hidden from me, Devin concluded. The cabin was your escape preparation. Yes. Devin studied her, looking for deception. You expect me to believe you developed a conscience after years of working for people who create weapons like this? I expect you to believe I love my son, she replied fiercely. Everything changed when they targeted him directly. A complex calculation ran through Devin's mind. Variables of truth, utility, and risk. Finally, he made his decision. Here's what happens now. You're going to help me dismantle Axiom's entire operation. Every contact, every safe house, every financial channel. In exchange, I don't turn you over to my former colleagues at Naval Intelligence, who would be very interested in your activities in Boston. And after, Lydia asked quietly, after, you disappear. Without Theo. His voice hardened. You lost the right to be his mother the moment you put him in danger. He'll be told you died protecting him. The last truthful thing you could do for him. Tears filled her eyes. He's my son. He's my son, Devin corrected without emotion. And you'll never see him again. That's the deal. Take it, or I'll make a phone call, and you spend the rest of your life in a black site discussing memory compounds with government scientists. Lydia's shoulders slumped in defeat. I'll help you. Devin nodded once. Then secure the warehouse before making the journey to the fallback location, a safe house 40 miles away where Vince waited with Theo. As he drove, Devin allowed himself a moment to process the emotional devastation beneath his calm exterior. The life he'd built, the woman he'd loved, all constructed on elaborate lies. The only truth in the wreckage was Theo, innocent and traumatized, waiting for explanations Devin wasn't sure how to provide. His phone rang, a secure line from contact at the FBI. Mercer, we've got a situation. Hughes Pharmaceuticals was hit an hour ago. Armed team, professional job. They took the backup servers and research samples. Axiom's contingency plan, Devin realized aloud. They had a second team in place if the handoff failed. Axiom? The contractor? Mercer? What the hell are you involved in? I'll brief you in person. Secure channel only. And I'm bringing in 3 assets who need federal protection. Assets or prisoners? Both, Devin replied grimly. Have a medical team ready. One of them isn't in great shape. He ended the call, recalculating. With Axiom's second team in play, they would soon realize their leadership had been compromised. The window for dismantling their operation was shrinking. At the safe house, Theo ran to him the moment he entered. Devin held him tightly, the boy's small body trembling against his chest. "Where's Mom?" Theo asked, his voice muffled against Devin's shoulder. Devin met Vince's eyes over Theo's head, a silent communication between men who'd faced impossible choices before. "Your mom is helping us stop the bad people," Devin answered carefully. "She's being very brave. She tried to keep the scary man away from the door," Theo said. She yelled at him. "I know, buddy." Devin knelt to Theo's level. "Listen to me. Things are going to be complicated for a little while. We might need to stay in different places, meet new people. But I promise you, I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Ever." Theo nodded solemnly. "Is Mom in trouble?" The question pierced Devin's carefully maintained control. "Yes," he answered honestly. "But she loves you very much. Never doubt that." As Theo settled in with Vince to watch a movie, Devin stepped outside to make the arrangements necessary for what came next. 3 calls to former intelligence colleagues activated a network that had remained dormant since his retirement. 2 more calls secured new identities and documentation for himself and Theo. A final call went to Lawrence Hughes. "The situation is more complex than we initially assessed. I need everything you have on the compound, all research, all potential applications." "They took everything in the raid," Hughes replied, panic evident in his voice. "Not everything. The modified formula we planted for Walsh is what they have. I need the real research." "For what purpose?" "Leverage," Devin answered simply. "And insurance." By midnight, the pieces were in place. Devin had transferred his captives to federal custody with specific containment protocols. Lydia had provided comprehensive information on Axiom's structure and operations. Seeds of destruction had been planted throughout their network. Financial irregularities flagged for investigation, communication channels compromised, safe houses identified. But the most critical element remained. Axiom still had a version of the memory compound, flawed, but potentially salvageable by a skilled enough chemist, which meant Devin and Theo would remain targets until the threat was conclusively neutralized. As Theo slept in the safe house bedroom, Devin gazed at his son's peaceful face. The boy had shown remarkable resilience today, but trauma left invisible scars. Devin would ensure he received proper support, whatever it took to help him process these events. But first, Axiom had to be destroyed. Not just dismantled or disrupted. Destroyed. With the same methodical thoroughness Devin had applied throughout his intelligence career. The difference was, this time was personal. Chapter 5. The Architect's Design. Devin established a temporary operational base in a corporate apartment owned by one of Vince's shell companies. With Theo safely enrolled in a private school under a new name, guarded by 2 former operatives posing as school security, Devin focused entirely on dismantling Axiom. The information Lydia had provided proved accurate. Within 3 days, Axiom's financial accounts were frozen, 3 safe houses raided, and 6 operatives arrested. But the organization's leadership remained elusive, as did the team that had stolen the research from Hughes Pharmaceuticals. Devin sat across from Agent Brooke Sawyer, his FBI contact, in a nondescript coffee shop. At 45, Sawyer had the weathered look of someone who'd seen too much and slept too little, her silver-streaked dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. "Your wife is cooperating fully," Sawyer informed him, sliding a tablet across the table. "But there's a complication." Devin reviewed the information on the screen, medical charts, brain scans. "Explain." "The memory compound? She's been exposed to it." Sawyer tapped the scans. "These patterns indicate neural pathways that have been chemically altered. Some of her memories may be implanted or modified." "By whom?" "She claims it was her former handler at Axiom. A man named Preston Mills. Devin's eyes narrowed at the unfamiliar name. Not Elias? Elias Young was operations. Mills is the architect, the strategic mind behind Axiom's memory research program. According to your wife, he conducted extensive treatments on her when she first attempted to defect 3 years ago. Before she met me, Devin noted, pieces clicking into place. They reconditioned her, then placed her in my path as a long-term asset. Sawyer nodded grimly. The level of planning is unsettling. Mills apparently has a background in both neuroscience and psychological warfare. Former CIA, dismissed for ethics violations. Is he on our target list? He's not on any list. No photos, no biometrics in the system. Your wife can't even describe him accurately. Says her memories of him are fragmented. Convenient. Devin considered this information carefully. Or genuine, if he used the compound on her. You're defending her now? Sawyer raised an eyebrow. Analyzing, not defending. Devin closed the tablet. We need to locate Mills. He's the key to all of this. We're working every angle. But Axiom's communications are sophisticated. Quantum encryption, rotating protocols. And they've gone dark since the initial raids. Devin leaned back, his mind racing through strategic calculations. They need a new lab to process the research they stole. Specialized equipment, controlled environment. Cross-reference property acquisitions with purchases of laboratory equipment. Focus on remote locations with good power infrastructure. Already in progress, Sawyer confirmed. But Devin, she hesitated, choosing her words carefully. How are you handling all this? Personally, he met her gaze steadily. I'm focused on neutralizing the threat to my son. And after doesn't exist until Theo is safe. Sawyer sighed. The Bureau can only provide so much cover for your methods. The 3 suspects you handed overshowed signs of intense interrogation. Elias Young required medical attention. He's alive, Devin replied without remorse. Which is more than he planned for my 7-year-old son. Their conversation was interrupted by Devin's secure phone vibrating with a text from Vince. Package delivered to alternate location. Unexpected complication. Come alone. I need to go, Devin told Sawyer, already standing. Continue the property search and increase security on Lydia's holding location. If Mills is as good as you say, he'll try to eliminate her as a liability. The alternate location was a decommissioned radio station outside the city, one of several fallback positions Devin had established. As he approached with caution, weapon ready, Vince emerged from the main building. Clear, Vince assured him, but you need to see this. Inside, sitting calmly at a dusty console table, was Brennan Walsh. His appearance had changed, hair dyed black, glasses replaced with contacts, but his nervous energy remained unmistakable. He turned himself in, Vince explained, walked into the coffee shop across from the apartment, and asked for you by name. Devin's weapon remained trained on Walsh. Explanation. Now, Walsh raised his hands. I escaped during transport to the federal facility. Axiom has people inside the FBI. They were going to redirect me to Mills. Convenient story. Why come to me instead of running? Because I know what they're planning to do with the compound, and it's worse than we thought. Walsh's voice shook slightly. Mills doesn't just want to enhance soldiers or conduct untraceable interrogations. He's perfected a mass delivery system, airborne, water supply compatible. Entire populations could be affected. Affected how? Targeted memory alteration on a civilian scale. Political compliance, modified perception of events, elimination of resistance thought patterns. Walsh leaned forward. It's not just a weapon. It's a tool for reshaping reality itself. Devin maintained his skepticism. Proof. Walsh hesitantly removed a flash drive from his shoe. Complete technical specifications and the location of their new lab facility. They're accelerating production based on what they stole from Hughes. Vince took the drive, connecting it to a secure, isolated laptop. After several minutes of review, he nodded to Devin. Looks legitimate. Laboratory schematics, chemical formulas, deployment models, and an address, abandoned mining research facility in the mountains. Satellite imagery confirms recent activity. Devin finally lowered his weapon, though his suspicion remained. Why betray them? Walsh's expression hardened unexpectedly. My sister was an early test subject. Volunteered, believing it was memory enhancement for Alzheimer's patients. Now she doesn't recognize her own children. Thinks she's someone else entirely. His voice broke. I helped create this nightmare. I want to end it. Devin studied him, weighing the risk of trust against the value of the information. If this is accurate, we move tonight. If it's a trap, you'll be the first casualty. It's accurate, Walsh insisted. And there's something else you should know. About your wife. Ex-wife, Devin corrected coldly. Whatever you want to call her. Lydia wasn't just any operative. She was Mill's most successful subject, his prototype for the perfect deep cover agent. Loyal, committed, and completely unaware of her true programming. Devin's expression remained impassive, though something twisted painfully inside him. Explain. The memory treatments work in layers. Surface consciousness, accessible memory, deep programming. Lydia genuinely believed she was trying to protect your son, but under specific trigger conditions, her deeper programming would activate. What triggers? I don't know all of them, but one was proximity to the completed formula. If she had gotten her hands on it, Walsh shook his head. She would have reverted to her base programming and delivered it directly to Mills, eliminating anyone who stood in her way. Even Theo. The revelation settled over Devin like ice. If true, it meant Lydia was as much victim as perpetrator, her betrayal orchestrated at a level deeper than conscious choice. But it changed nothing about the threat she posed. Vince, verify everything on that drive. I want satellite imagery, power consumption records, supply deliveries. Confirm the facility is operational. Devin turned back to Walsh. You're staying here under guard until we verify your information. There's no time, Walsh protested. They'll have synthesized the first batch within days. Then your information better check out. Devin headed for the door, pausing briefly. One last question. This memory conditioning can be reversed. Walsh hesitated. Theoretically, with the original compound and precise knowledge of how the conditioning was structured. But no one has successfully attempted deprogramming yet. Theoretically is enough, Devin replied, his mind already formulating a plan that extended beyond merely stopping Axiom. By evening, Walsh's information had been verified. The abandoned mining research facility showed all the markers of an active laboratory operation. Increased power consumption, regular supply deliveries, enhanced security measures. Thermal imaging revealed approximately 20 individuals on site. Devin convened a strategic meeting with Vince and 2 other former operatives he trusted implicitly. Satellite imagery and facility schematics covered the walls of their temporary command center. Primary objective is seizure of all research materials and compound samples, Devin explained, indicating key points on the facility layout. Secondary objective is capture of Preston Mills, identification verified through Walsh. And if capture isn't possible, asked Nadia Reisner, a former Mossad operative who specialized in extraction missions. Then Mills doesn't leave the facility, Devin replied without hesitation. Under no circumstances can he be allowed to escape with knowledge of the compound formulation. Victor Lang, the 4th member of their team and a former Delta Force operator, studied the approach vectors. Security looks professional but not excessive. They're relying more on isolation than manpower. Overconfidence, Vince noted. They don't know we've identified them. We use that, Devin decided. Standard infiltration protocol. Victor and Nadia take the perimeter guards. Vince manages communications and surveillance override. I'll lead the interior team. Interior team? Nadia questioned. The schematic suggests at least 12 hostiles inside. I'm bringing Walsh, Devin revealed. He can identify critical research components and, more importantly, recognize Mills. That's a significant risk, Victor cautioned. Walsh's loyalty is questionable at best, which is why he'll be wearing this. Devin held up a small device resembling a medical patch. Remote-activated sedative delivery system. One wrong move, he's unconscious. One sign of betrayal, the dosage increases. The planning continued into the night. each contingency meticulously addressed. By dawn, they were prepared for the operation scheduled to begin at sunset. The optimal window, based on shift changes observed in the facility's security patterns. Before leaving, Devin made a secure video call to Theo, who was settling into his temporary school environment with remarkable adaptability. "Hey, buddy, how's the new school?" he asked, manufacturing a casual tone. "It's okay. My teacher, Ms. Alton, lets me feed the class hamster." Theo's face brightened momentarily before falling. "When can I see Mom?" The question pierced Devin with fresh pain. "Soon," he lied gently. "She's still helping sort things out." "Is she in trouble because of me? Because I called you from the bathroom?" "No, Theo. Never think that." Devin leaned closer to the camera. "You did exactly the right thing. You were brave and smart, just like we practiced." Theo nodded solemnly. "Ms. Alton says I'm very brave. But sometimes at night, I get scared and remember the scary man." "That's normal," Devin assured him. "Even grown-ups get scared when bad things happen. But you know what? Those men can't hurt you anymore. I made sure of that." "Did you hurt them?" Theo asked with a child's directness. Devin considered his answer carefully. "I stopped them from hurting anyone else." Sometimes that's what brave people have to do. After ending the call, Devin sat quietly for several minutes, center himself for what was coming. Tonight would determine not just Axiom's fate, but his and Theo's future. There would be no second chances, no margin for error. As the sun began to set, Devin gathered his team for final preparations. Equipment checked, communications tested, roles confirmed. Walsh, nervous but resigned, submitted to the sedative patch and lightweight body armor. "Remember," Devin told them all, "this isn't just about stopping a weapons program. This is about making sure my son never has to look over his shoulder again." They moved out in 2 unmarked vehicles, taking separate routes to avoid detection. As mountain roads gave way to Forest Service tracks, Devin felt the familiar clarity of purpose that had defined his years in intelligence work. The personal betrayal, the emotional devastation, all of it channeled into cold, precise focus. 3 kilometers from the facility, they continued on foot, moving silently through the dense forest. Ahead, the converted mining research building glowed with security lighting, its perimeter marked by motion sensors and cameras that Victor systematically disabled as they advanced. Nadia disappeared into the shadows to eliminate the 2 guards patrolling the north section. Victor positioned himself with a clear line of sight to the main entrance. Vince established their communications hub in a concealed position, tapping into the facility's security feed. All systems accessed, Vince confirmed via their encrypted comms. "Cameras looping pre-recorded footage now. You have approximately 20 minutes before they'll detect the intrusion." Devin checked his weapon, then turned to Walsh. "Last chance to prove your story." Walsh swallowed nervously. "I want to make this right. For my sister. For your son. Then let's move." They approached the service entrance, where Walsh entered the security code. The door clicked open, admitting them to the heart of Axiom's operation, and one step closer to ensuring Theo's safety. Chapter 6: Shadows of Deception. The facility's interior was clinically efficient. Polished concrete floors, stark white walls, and the distinct chemical smell of a working laboratory. Devin moved with practiced stealth, Walsh following closely behind as they navigated the service corridors. "The main lab will be in the central chamber," Walsh whispered. "Former mining test area. High ceilings, good ventilation." Devin nodded, consulting the facility schematic displayed on his tactical wristband. "Security office first. We need to ensure Vince maintains system control." They encountered their first obstacle at a junction. 2 guards in private military attire, armed with submachine guns. Devin signaled Walsh to stay back, then moved with devastating efficiency. 15 seconds later, both guards were unconscious, their weapons secured. "Communications check," Devin whispered into his comms. "Perimeter clear," came Nadia's response. 5 hostiles neutralized. Motion sensors disabled. Main entrance covered, Victor confirmed. 2 vehicles arrived. Personnel entered the facility. 4 individuals appear to be scientists based on attire. Security systems still under control, Vince added. But they've initiated a communications check. When their guards don't respond, they'll know something's wrong. Understood. Accelerating timeline. Devin turned to Walsh. Fastest route to the security office? Walsh pointed to a stairwell. One level down. It overlooks the main laboratory floor. They descended rapidly, encountering no further resistance. The security office was minimally staffed, a single operator who turned too late as Devin entered. A quick, efficient strike rendered him unconscious. Vince, I'm at the security station. Patching you into the local systems now. Devin connected a specialized device to the facility's main console, giving Vince deeper access to their operations. Downloading all security protocols and research data, Vince confirmed. I'm seeing the lab floor now. Approximately 15 personnel. For armed security, remainder appear to be research staff. Devin studied the security monitors, identifying defensive positions and exit routes. Any sign of Mills? Negative, but there's a restricted area off the main lab. Private office or secondary research space. No camera coverage. Walsh leaned forward, pointing to the restricted area on the monitor. That's where he'd be. Mills never works in the open lab. Too paranoid. Can you get us access? Walsh nodded. My clearance should work. I was head of research before everything. Vince, what's the status on data extraction? 60% complete. Their research files are heavily encrypted. 3 minutes to full download. Devin made his decision. We move to the main lab now. Victor, Nadia, be ready to provide extraction support on my signal. Things are about to get complicated. Copy that. They responded in unison. Devin and Walsh moved silently through the service corridors until they reached an observation gallery overlooking the main laboratory. Below, white-coated scientists worked at various stations, attending to complex equipment and computer systems. At the center was a sealed glass chamber containing manufacturing equipment currently in operation, producing the memory compound. They've already synthesized it, Walsh whispered, alarm evident in his voice. That distillation process is the final stage. Devin surveyed the room, identifying each security position and exit. Once we enter, we'll have approximately 90 seconds before security responds from other sections of the facility. Primary objective is securing the production chamber and all research materials. And Mills, leave him to me. They descended to the laboratory level, Walsh using his access card at the security door. As they entered, several heads turned in surprise. Devin moved immediately, neutralizing the 2 nearest guards before they could react. The scientist backed away in alarm as he raised his weapon. Security protocols Alpha and Omega, Devin announced clearly, using Axiom's own emergency codes gleaned from their security files. Containment breach in progress. All personnel evacuate to designated safe zones. The practice response was immediate, scientists abandoning their stations and moving toward emergency exits. In the confusion, Devin advanced toward the central production chamber while Walsh secured computer terminals. Shutdown procedures initiated, Walsh called out, entering commands at the main control station. Devin, you need to secure those canisters in the sealed chamber. That's the process compound. As Devin moved toward the chamber, an alarm blared throughout the facility. Vince, not me, Vince responded urgently. They've detected the intrusion from an off-site monitoring system. Facility lockdown initiating. You have 3 minutes before security doors seal. Walsh, finish the shutdown. I'm going after Mills. Devin headed toward the restricted area, using the master key card they'd taken from the security office. The door opened to reveal a sophisticated private laboratory connected to a small office. Unlike the stark clinical space of the main lab, this room contained personal touches, books, elaborate scientific models, even framed photographs. But no Mills. Devin scanned the space, taking in details. The computer was still active, showing a command prompt. Emergency protocol activated. Data, purge in progress. Beside it, a small case lay open, 2 cylindrical containers missing from their molded interior. He's gone, Devin realized, checking the office's second exit. recently used based on the hydraulic door's positioning cycle, and he took samples of the compound with him. Devin, Walsh's panicked voice came through the comms. The production chamber, it's been rigged. Temperature rising beyond containment parameters. Devin raced back to the main lab, where Walsh was frantically working the control panel of the sealed production chamber. Inside, gauges showed rapidly increasing pressure and temperature. They've initiated a self-destruct, Walsh explained, fingers flying over the controls. If that chamber ruptures, the aerosolized compound will flood the entire facility. Can you stop it? I'm trying to vent the pressure, but the safety protocols have been overridden. Walsh's face paled. This wasn't an accident. It was the backup plan all along. If compromised, convert the facility into a weapon. Everyone out now. Devin ordered through the comms. Victor, Nadia, begin extraction. Vince, complete the data download and evacuate. What about the compound? Walsh asked, still attempting to stabilize the chamber. We need to contain it. Can we seal this section of the facility? Walsh nodded grimly. The mining research included containment procedures for toxic gases. There's a secondary barrier system, heavy steel doors that can isolate this level. But someone has to activate it manually from the security station we passed. Devin made the calculation instantly. Get to the extraction point. I'll seal the level. But, go, now. Devin pushed Walsh toward the exit, then sprinted back toward the security station. The containment controls were straightforward but required physical keys turned simultaneously in two different panels, a safety measure to prevent accidental activation. Devin improvised, using equipment from his tactical gear to create a mechanical timer for the second key. As he worked, Vince's voice came through his comms. Devin, I've got movement on the exterior cameras. Mills is evacuating via the North Service Road. Black SUV, 2 escorts. Can you intercept? Negative. We're managing the extraction. Walsh is secured, but facility systems show catastrophic containment failure imminent. Devin completed the timer setup. How long until the compound is released? Sensors show pressure approaching critical. 2 minutes, maybe less. Understood. Devin activated the timer. Containment doors will seal in 30 seconds. I'm proceeding to alternate extraction route. That route isn't on the schematic, Vince responded, concern evident in his voice. Emergency mining evacuation tunnel, not on digital records. Devin moved swiftly through the facility, following signs visible only under his tactical light's specific frequency, a precaution he'd noted during their planning. Behind him, massive steel doors began closing, compartmentalizing the facility to contain the impending release. Ahead, a narrow utility tunnel promised escape, if he could reach it in time. The tunnel was cramped and poorly maintained, designed for emergency use only. Devin moved as quickly as possible through the confined space, aware that each second brought the compound's release closer. After what seemed an eternity, he emerged into the cold night air, nearly a kilometer from the main facility. I'm clear, he reported through comms. Status: all team members accounted for except you, Vince confirmed. Walsh is secured. No sign of Mills. His vehicle cleared the perimeter before we could intercept. Track him. Already on it. Victor placed a tracker on one of the escort vehicles during initial surveillance. Devin moved through the forest toward their rendezvous point, his mind processing what they'd learned. Mills had escaped with samples of the compound. The research facility was compromised, but not completely destroyed. And somewhere in the mountains, a man who had orchestrated this entire operation, who had placed Lydia in Devin's life as an unwitting sleeper agent, was planning his next move. At the rendezvous point, an abandoned ranger station 10 kilometers from the facility, the team regrouped. Walsh sat under Nadia's watchful eye, exhaustion evident in his slumped posture. The data we recovered is incomplete, Vince reported, displaying information on a secure tablet. Mills initiated a purge before evacuating. We have the compound's basic formula, but not the specific memory conditioning protocols. What about the facility? Devin asked. Environmental sensors show the compound was successfully contained within the sealed sections. Hazardous materials teams from 3 federal agencies are en route, operating under classified protocols. And Mills. The tracker shows his convoy heading southeast. Based on current trajectory, they're making for a private airfield near the state line. Devin processed this information with cold efficiency. Time to intercept. They have at least a 30-minute head start, Victor calculated. Even pushing our vehicles to maximum, we'd arrive after their departure window. A decision crystallized in Devin's mind. Walsh, the compound samples Mills took. What could he do with them? Walsh straightened, professional focus overriding his exhaustion. Without the full research data, limited application. He can't mass-produce without the manufacturing protocols we captured. But he could still use those samples for individual conditioning, targeted memory manipulation of high-value subjects. How many subjects? Each cylinder contains enough compound for perhaps a dozen applications, depending on dosage. Walsh hesitated. But there's something else. The compound degrades rapidly once removed from controlled storage. 48 hours maximum viability. This new information shifted Devin's strategic assessment. So Mills is running, not just from us, but from a deadline. He needs to use those samples while they're still effective. And he needs subjects, Nadia added, the implication cleared her tone. Not random subjects, Devin realized, the final piece falling into place. Specific targets for whom he already has conditioning protocols established. Subjects he's worked with before. Lydia, Vince concluded, he's going after your wife. Devin had already anticipated this possibility. Federal protection won't stop him. Not if he has people inside the bureau, as Walsh suggested. What's your play? Victor asked. Mills wants Lydia because she's his most successful conditioning subject, his prototype. But there's something else he wants more. Devin turned to Walsh. The complete formula. The one we captured tonight. Walsh nodded slowly, understanding dawning. You're setting a trap. Not just any trap. Devin's expression hardened with resolve. One that ends this permanently. For Theo's sake. As the team prepared for their counter-operation, Devin stepped outside the ranger station, gazing at the star-filled sky. The cold mountain air carried the scent of pine and distant snow, a stark contrast to the clinical chemical smell of Axiom's facility. His phone vibrated with a message from Theo's protective detail. Subject secure. Regular sleep pattern observed. Requesting overnight protocol confirmation. Devin responded with the daily authentication code, then added standard vigilance. Update at 0600. Everything he had done, everything he would do, it all circled back to Theo. The boy who had accepted him as his father from the beginning, whose safety now depended on Devin's ability to eliminate a threat built on layers of deception. Mills had made a fundamental error in judgment. He had calculated that Devin's intelligence training made him a desirable target for manipulation through Lydia. What he hadn't accounted for was the depth of Devin's commitment to the child he considered his son, a commitment that transcended biological connection, that would accept no compromise when it came to Theo's safety. As he rejoined the team to finalize their counter-strategy, Devin carried this certainty within him. By threatening Theo, Mills had signed his own destruction order. The only remaining question was how comprehensively Devin would execute it. Chapter 7, Predator's Gambit. The private airfield where Mills' convoy had stopped consisted of 3 hangars, a short runway, and minimal security, perfect for discreet departures. Vince's surveillance drone provided real-time imagery of Mills' position in the largest hangar, where a Gulfstream jet was being prepared for departure. 8 visible security personnel, Victor noted, studying the footage. Professional configuration. Standard private military contractor loadout. Devin assessed the tactical situation from their position in a wooded area overlooking the airfield. They're waiting for something. That jet could have been airborne 15 minutes ago. Or someone Nadia suggested. Additional passengers? Walsh, still under close guard but now an active participant in their planning, studied the hangar's layout. Mills never travels without his core research team. 3 scientists minimum. I don't see them in the current footage. Vince manipulated the drone's controls, scanning the perimeter. Second convoy approaching from the southeast. 3 vehicles, military precision driving pattern. The newly arrived convoy entered the airfield perimeter without challenge, proceeding directly to the hangar. When a vehicle stopped, Devon's suspicions were confirmed. Federal agents emerged, escorting a handcuffed female prisoner. Lydia, Devon confirmed, zooming the surveillance feed on his former wife's face. Mills has assets inside the bureau, just as Walsh warned. How did they extract her from federal custody? Victor wondered aloud. Internal transfer authorization, Devon surmised. Standard protocol for high-value intelligence assets. Someone with sufficient clearance ordered her moved, and these agents intercepted the transport. What now? Nadia asked, weapons ready. Direct intervention? Devon studied the evolving situation with cold precision. No, Mills is expecting resistance. We need to alter his calculation. He turned to Walsh. Call him. Walsh blinked in surprise. What? You have his private number. Call him. Tell him you escaped our operation and have critical information about what we recovered from the facility. Understanding dawned on Walsh's face. You want me to negotiate? Offer the complete formula data in exchange for protection. Make it convincing, Devon instructed, removing the sedative patch from Walsh's neck in a show of trust. He knows you have personal motivation against him because of your sister. Address that directly. Say you've realized revenge won't help her, but the complete formula might allow you to develop a reversal process. Walsh nodded slowly, reaching for the secure satellite phone. He'll want verification that I have the data. Tell him you planted a secondary copying program before the facility was compromised, one that transmitted to your private server. As Walsh made the call, Devon continued monitoring the situation at the hangar. Lydia had been taken inside, her expression betraying no emotion beyond mild confusion. The perfect mask of a deep-cover operative unaware of her own programming. Dr. Mills, Walsh began when the call connected, his voice conveying just the right blend of desperation and calculated determination. It's Walsh. I got away during the raid. Mercer's team didn't realize I had contingencies in place. The conversation proceeded exactly as Devon had anticipated. Mills was suspicious but interested, especially when Walsh mentioned specific technical details of the formula that only a core researcher would know. After several minutes of negotiation, a new plan emerged. Mills would delay his departure by 3 hours. Walsh would meet an extraction team at a designated location with the formula data. He's sending 2 men to meet me at a gas station 20 kilometers from here, Walsh reported after ending the call. They'll authenticate the data before bringing me to Mills. Did he mention what he plans for Lydia? Devon asked. Walsh nodded grimly. Conditioning reinforcement using the samples he escaped with. He said the original programming had become corrupted and needed reset before their departure. This confirmed Devon's assessment. Mills wasn't merely escaping with his research. He was actively continuing his operation. And Lydia was both his subject and his insurance policy against Devon's intervention. We have 3 hours to implement our counter-strategy, Devon announced to the team. Vince, continue surveillance on the airfield. Victor and Nadia, you'll intercept the extraction team sent for Walsh. We need their credentials and communications. And you? Vince asked. I'm going to prepare a special delivery for Dr. Mills. Devon turned to Walsh. I need everything you know about how the memory compound is administered. Walsh provided detailed information, administration methods, dosages, onset timing, observable effects. With this knowledge, Devon began assembling components from their tactical equipment, creating something that appeared to be a standard data transfer device, but contained a carefully concealed secondary function. Victor and Nadia departed for their interception mission, leaving Devon, Vince, and Walsh at their forest observation post. As Devon worked, Vince continued monitoring the airfield. Movement inside the hangar, Vince reported. They're setting up what appears to be medical equipment. Infusion pumps, monitoring systems. Walsh studied the footage. Standard conditioning setup. The compound is administered via controlled foredrip, while specific memory triggers are presented to the subject. What kind of triggers? Devon asked, not pausing in his work. Visual, auditory, sometimes olfactory. Depends on the conditioning protocol. For deep-cover operatives like your wife, typically photographs, voice recordings, specific phrases. Devin processed this information, incorporating it into his evolving plan. And Mills personally oversees the procedure. Always. He considers it an art form as much as science. He monitors neural responses and adjusts the conditioning in real time. This was the vulnerability Devin had been looking for. To adjust the conditioning, Mills would need to be in close proximity to the administration system. Victor's voice came through their comms. Extraction team intercepted. 2 operatives, non-lethal resolution. Credentials and communications secured. Good, Devin responded. Proceed with Phase 2. While the team executed their assigned tasks, Devin completed his special device, outwardly a secure data transfer unit, internally modified to serve a very different purpose. When finished, he handed it to Walsh. You understand what this will do? Walsh examined it with professional appreciation. Elegant solution. Mills won't detect the modification until it's activated. And you're still committed? Devin studied the scientist's face carefully. There's no going back from this point. My sister lives in a perpetual nightmare because of what I helped create, Walsh replied, resolve hardening his features. I started this. I want to finish it. With each team member in position, the counter-operation commenced. Walsh, equipped with a modified data device and accompanied by Victor, now disguised as one of Mills' security personnel, proceeded to the airfield. Nadia established a sniper position overlooking the main hangar, while Vince coordinated communications from their mobile command post. Devin, meanwhile, implemented the most dangerous element of their strategy. Using stealth tactics honed through years of covert operations, he infiltrated the airfield perimeter, moving unseen through blind spots in the security coverage. His objective, establish a secondary entry point to the hangar for when timing became critical. Walsh and Victor have cleared the outer security checkpoint, Vince reported through comms. Proceeding to main hangar without incident. Maintain communications discipline, Devin instructed. Execute exactly as planned. Inside the hangar, Mills greeted Walsh with the calculated warmth of a predator. In his mid-50s, with silver-streaked dark hair and the lean physique of someone who controlled every aspect of his existence, Preston Mills embodied scientific precision fused with military authority. Dr. Walsh, I must admit, I'm impressed by your resourcefulness, Mills said, gesturing toward a workstation where the data could be verified. I had calculated only a 27% probability of your escape during Mercer's operation. Walsh maintained the desperate yet determined demeanor they had crafted. Necessity breeds innovation, Dr. Mills. After what happened to my sister, I realized revenge was short-sighted. The complete formula offers possibilities for everyone, including her. Mills smiled thinly. Always the idealist. It's what made you such a valuable researcher. He nodded toward the modified data device. Let's see what you've salvaged. As Walsh connected the device to Mills' secure system, Devin observed from his concealed position near an emergency exit. Across the hangar, Lydia sat motionless in a medical chair, Feline already inserted into her arm, eyes vacant. The preliminary sedative already taking effect. Authentication proceeding, Vince confirmed through comms. System accepting the data transfer. Initial molecular mapping confirms authenticity, Mills announced, studying the incoming data with evident satisfaction. You've exceeded expectations, Dr. Walsh. This will significantly accelerate our timetable. Walsh maintained his role perfectly. The neural pathway protocols are included in the secondary encryption layer. You'll need my decryption key. Of course. Mills gestured to his security personnel. Prepare Dr. Walsh for travel. He'll be accompanying us to our new research facility. As the security team moved to escort Walsh to the aircraft, the scientist activated the hidden function in the data device with a discrete command sequence. Immediately, Mills' system displayed a security warning. What is this? Mills demanded, noticing the alert. File corruption in the neural mapping segments, Walsh explained smoothly. A side effect of the hasty extraction method. I can repair it, but I'll need direct access to your system. Mills hesitated, suspicion warring with scientific urgency. Finally, he nodded. Proceed, but under direct supervision. This was the critical moment in their strategy. As Walsh began working at Mills' terminal, apparently addressing the corrupted data, Victor positioned himself near the medical equipment connected to Lydia. Devon moved closer to his entry point, preparing for precise timing. Bridging final security protocols, Vince reported through comms. Remote access established. Inside the hangar, the seemingly routine data recovery suddenly shifted. The hangar lights flickered momentarily as Vince executed a controlled power fluctuation. In that brief moment of distraction, Walsh activated the device's true function, releasing a precisely calibrated aerosol version of the memory compound directly into Mills' face. The scientist inhaled involuntarily, eyes widening in shock as he recognized what had happened. "You," he began, before the compound's rapid onset effects began to manifest. He gripped the edge of the terminal, momentarily disoriented. "Security protocols compromised," Vince announced. Initiating Phase 3. Chaos erupted within the hangar. The security team, receiving conflicting commands through their compromised communication system, hesitated the critical seconds needed for Victor to disable Lydia's four-line and replace the contents with a neutralizing solution Walsh had prepared. Devon breached the hangar through his prepared entry point, eliminating 2 security personnel with non-lethal precision. Across the space, Nadia's carefully placed shots disabled exterior communications and the aircraft's navigation system. Mills, fighting through the compound's initial disorienting effects, recognized the coordinated attack. "Mercer," he snarled, drawing a concealed weapon. Devon moved with calculated efficiency, disarming Mills with a precision strike before securing him in the same medical chair that had been prepared for Lydia's conditioning. The remaining security personnel, cut off from clear leadership and facing a precision assault from multiple directions, were neutralized within 90 seconds. "Perimeter secured," Victor reported. "All hostiles contained." Devon approached Mills, who struggled against his restraints, the memory compound beginning to take fuller effect. "You've miscalculated, Doctor." "This changes nothing," Mills responded, his scientific demeanor giving way to cold rage. "I have contingencies you cannot imagine, resources beyond your reach." "Perhaps," Devon acknowledged, preparing the medical equipment that had been intended for Lydia. "But right now, what you have is a front-row seat to the end of your life's work." As Walsh reconfigured the conditioning system, Devon turned to check on Lydia. She remained semi-conscious in Victor's care, the neutralizing solution gradually counteracting the preliminary sedatives she'd been given. "Will she recover?" Devon asked Walsh. "The neutralizer should prevent any further conditioning, but it can't undo what's already been done." Walsh looked genuinely remorseful. "Her memory structures have been extensively modified over years. Complete recovery is unlikely." Devon nodded, accepting this reality with the same cold clarity that had guided him since Theo's desperate call. Whatever Lydia had been to him, wife, partner, mother to his son, that person had been crafted by design, a sophisticated construct built on manipulated memories and conditioned responses. "Complete the reconfiguration," he instructed Walsh. "It's time Dr. Mills experiences his own methodology firsthand." As the team secured the hangar and prepared for extraction, Devon implemented the final phase of his counter-strategy, a precisely calibrated conditioning protocol for Preston Mills, designed by Walsh using the scientist's own research. Not memory erasure or crude manipulation, but something far more poetic in its justice. A carefully structured ethical framework that would make continuing his work psychologically impossible. Neural pathways responding to the conditioning parameters, Walsh reported, monitoring the system. Remarkable efficiency. His own brain chemistry makes him exceptionally susceptible to the compound. "How long until it's irreversible?" Devon asked. "For this specific protocol?" "Approximately 30 minutes. After that, attempting to continue human testing with the compound will trigger severe neurological distress responses." Devon checked his watch. "We have 20 minutes before federal response teams arrive." Complete the procedure and prepare for extraction. As the conditioning process continued, Devin approached Lydia, who was now fully conscious though disoriented. Her green eyes, once so captivating to him, showed confusion rather than recognition. "Devin," she asked uncertainly, "what's happening? Where's Theo?" "Safe," he answered simply. "Far from here. Far from you." A flicker of something, perhaps genuine maternal concern, perhaps conditioned response, crossed her face. "They told me he was in danger, that you couldn't protect him. They lied, just as you did." "I don't." She shook her head, wincing at apparent pain. "My memories feel wrong. Fractured. That's because they are." Devin maintained emotional distance, though something in him still responded to her evident distress. Some were implanted, others modified. The woman I married never really existed. Tears filled her eyes. "That's not true. I love you. I love Theo. Perhaps you believe that. But love built on deception isn't love at all." Walsh approached, interrupting the painful exchange. "The conditioning is complete. Mills is secured for transport. Federal custody protocols prepared as discussed." Devin nodded, turning away from Lydia with finality. "Initiate extraction sequence. Standard dispersal pattern. We rendezvous at the secondary location in 3 hours." As the team prepared to depart, Devin completed one final task. He placed a secure satellite phone in Lydia's hands, pre-programmed with a single number. "When you're ready to tell the truth, all of it, without manipulation or evasion, call this number. Until then, stay away from me. Stay away from Theo." "Devin, please," she began, reaching for him. He stepped back, beyond her reach in every sense. "The woman I loved never existed. The mother Theo deserves wouldn't have put him in danger. Remember that, if nothing else from our life together is real." With those words, Devin departed the hangar, leaving behind both Lydia and the illusion of the life they had shared. Ahead lay the complex process of rebuilding security for himself and Theo, of creating safeguards against any remaining threats from Axiom's network. But most importantly, ahead lay the responsibility he had never taken lightly, ensuring Theo grew up safe, loved, and protected from the shadows his parents' choices had cast. Chapter 8. Fragments of Truth. 3 months after the airfield operation, Devin sat across from Agent Brooke Sawyer in a different coffee shop, this one in Portland, Oregon, 2,000 miles from Philadelphia and the life he had left behind. "Mills' conditioning has held," Sawyer reported, sliding a file across the table. "Continuous monitoring shows severe neurological distress whenever he attempts to access or discuss his research beyond theoretical applications. The memory compound program has been officially designated inactive." "And the remaining Axiom network?" Devin asked, reviewing the surveillance photos in the file. "Dismantled. Treasury Department froze their financial channels. International arrest warrants issued for key personnel. Your intelligence was comprehensive." "Not comprehensive enough," Devin noted. "The original formula still exists in multiple secure locations." Sawyer sighed. "A necessary precaution, according to my superiors. Properly secured, the research has legitimate national security applications." "That's what they said in Boston," Devin reminded her, "before Mills weaponized it. Different oversight now. Stricter protocols." She studied him across the table. "How's Theo adjusting?" Devin's expression softened slightly at the mention of his son. "Better than expected. The child psychologist says kids his age are remarkably resilient. The night terrors have decreased. He's making friends at his new school. And he still doesn't know about Lydia. He knows what he needs to, that his mother loved him but was involved with dangerous people, that she helped save him in the end." The partial truth had been Devin's compromise. Theo deserved to remember his mother with some measure of love, not as the complex victim and perpetrator she had actually been. When he was older, perhaps the full truth would be appropriate. For now, the simplified version provided comfort without trauma. "She's been cooperative," Sawyer noted. "Her debriefing has helped identify 3 additional intelligence breaches. Memory recovery therapy is showing promise." Devin absorbed this information without visible reaction. "Has she attempted contact?" "No. Respecting your terms, apparently. Sawyer hesitated. The neurologists believe her attachment to you and Theo contains genuine emotional components, despite the conditioning. Some memories can't be manufactured, even with Mill's techniques. It doesn't change anything, Devon replied flatly. She made choices before the conditioning, during periods of clear awareness. Theo's safety comes first. Sawyer nodded, understanding the immovable boundary. Walsh has been officially entered into witness protection. New identity, new location. He's continuing research on memory rehabilitation techniques under secure oversight. Good. His sister deserves that chance. Their meeting concluded with operational details. Updated security protocols for Theo's school, surveillance reports on remaining persons of interest, timeline for Devon's next identity refresh. The rhythms of security had become their new normal, though far less intensive than the immediate aftermath of the Axiom operation. Later that afternoon, Devon watched Theo playing soccer in their new backyard, a craftsman bungalow on a quiet street with mature trees and neighbors who asked few questions. At 7, almost 8 now, Theo showed remarkable resilience. His therapist had noted that the security games Devon had taught him had actually helped him process the trauma. They had made him feel prepared rather than helpless when the crisis came. "Dad, watch this," Theo called, attempting a complicated dribbling maneuver he'd learned in his new soccer league. Devon applauded appreciatively. "Getting better every day, buddy." As they prepared dinner together, a routine Devon had established to create structure and normalcy. Theo suddenly asked, "Do you think Mom can see me playing soccer?" The question caught Devon off guard. "What makes you ask that?" Theo shrugged, carefully cutting bell peppers as Devon had taught him. Ms. Reeves said, "Sometimes people who can't be with us anymore can still watch over us. Like guardian angels." Ms. Reeves, Theo's therapist. Devon made a mental note to discuss this particular coping mechanism with her at their next consultation. "I think your mom would be very proud of how brave and strong you've become," Devon answered carefully. "And I know she loved watching you play." "I miss her sometimes," Theo admitted. "But I'm glad we're safe now." "Me too, buddy." Devon ruffled his hair gently. "Me too." That night, after Theo was asleep, Devon conducted his usual security review, checking surveillance feeds, running system diagnostics on their home security, verifying that the day's activities had raised no alerts in their monitoring network. Everything appeared normal until he noticed an anomaly in their secure mail screening protocol. A package had been cleared by the scanning system and delivered to their remote mailbox, standard procedure for items that passed all security checks. But the sender information triggered a silent alert. The package originated from a location associated with one of Lydia's known aliases. Devon retrieved the package with appropriate caution. External and internal scans confirmed it contained no threats, just a small USB drive, a handwritten letter, and a worn teddy bear Devon recognized as Mr. Buttons, Theo's favorite toy from infancy that had been left behind during their hasty departure from Philadelphia. The letter was brief, written in Lydia's distinctive hand. "Devon, the doctors say my memory reconstruction is progressing. Some days are clearer than others. I still don't know how much of what I remember is real and how much was programmed by Mills, but I know this. Theo deserves Mr. Buttons back. He always helped with the nightmares. The drive contains everything I've been able to reconstruct about my recruitment, my original mission, and the gaps in my awareness. The truth, as best as I can piece it together. Do with it what you will. I'm not asking for forgiveness or a second chance. Just confirmation that Theo is truly safe and happy. That's all I need to know. L." Devon set the letter aside, examining the teddy bear carefully before placing it in a sanitization chamber. Standard protocol before anything from the outside world reached Theo. The USB drive presented a more complex decision. Accessing it carried inherent security risks, yet potentially contained valuable intelligence about threats he might still need to counter. After creating a secure, isolated environment on a dedicated system, Devon reviewed the drive's contents. As promised, it contained Lydia's reconstructed timeline, from her initial recruitment by a defense contractor affiliated with Axiom, through her graduate research with Walsh, to the first memory conditioning sessions under Mill's supervision. The clinical detachment of her documentation cracked only when discussing Theo. I remember the first time I held him, 3 days old, adopted through an agency Mills controlled. The mission parameters included becoming a single mother to enhance my cover story's sympathetic profile. But from that first moment, the attachment was real. Holding him changed something fundamental in me. Perhaps that's why my conditioning began to fragment years later. Some connections run deeper than chemical manipulation. Devin continued reading well into the night, absorbing the painful truth of their relationship's origins. Lydia had been placed in his path deliberately at a cybersecurity conference where his attendance was guaranteed. Their chance meeting had been orchestrated through careful study of his preferences, his history, his psychological profile. And yet, buried within this clinical deconstruction of their life together were moments that challenged his absolute certainty about what had and hadn't been real. Lydia documented periods of conditioning fragmentation, during which her true personality had apparently surfaced. Most significantly, during Theo's kindergarten graduation, their anniversary trip to Vermont, and critically, the weeks leading up to the cabin incident. Mills detected my conditioning failure through routine monitoring protocols, she wrote. He ordered immediate recalibration. When I resisted, when I tried to warn Devin indirectly, Elias was assigned to enforce compliance. The threat to Theo was his idea, but Mills approved it as leveraged motivation. That approval was when I consciously recognized him as the enemy, despite years of conditioned loyalty. By dawn, Devin had processed the information with the methodical thoroughness that defined his approach to intelligence. Cross-referencing Lydia's account with known facts, surveillance data, and Walsh's testimony revealed a pattern consistent with her claims of fragmented conditioning and attempted resistance. It changed nothing about his decision regarding her place in their lives. The risk to Theo remained unacceptable, but complicated the absolute certainty with which he had judged her actions. The sanitization cycle completed, Devin removed Mr. Buttons from the chamber. The worn teddy bear, with its missing eye and patched arm, represented one of the few links to Theo's early childhood that hadn't been compromised by deception. Devin placed it on Theo's dresser, where he would find it when he woke. Later that morning, Theo's joy at being reunited with his old friend was genuine and uncomplicated. "Mr. Buttons, Dad, how did you find him? I thought he was gone forever." "He found his way back to you," Devin answered, choosing simple truth over complex explanation. "Some things always find their way home. He still remembers me," Theo declared with certainty, hugging the bear tightly. "Of course he does," Devin assured him. "Some memories can't be lost, no matter what happens." 2 days later, Devin sent a secure, untraceable message to the contact number Lydia had provided. "Package received. T is well. Adjusting. Safe. Nothing more, nothing less. Acknowledgement without invitation. Closure without cruelty." That evening, reviewing the security footage from Theo's school, Devin watched his son laughing with new friends, Mr. Buttons peeking from his backpack. The sight prompted a rare moment of reflection on what constituted reality in a world where memory itself could be manipulated. What defined his connection to Theo? Not biology. They shared no genetic relationship. Not unbroken truth. Their history together contained manufactured elements. What remained was choice, commitment, and the daily decision to prioritize Theo's well-being above all else. Perhaps Devin acknowledged privately that was the only definition of family that truly mattered. Not how it began, but the choices that sustained it. Whatever Lydia's original intentions, whatever programming had guided her actions, she had ultimately chosen to protect Theo when it mattered most. That single truth didn't erase her betrayal, but it existed alongside it, complex and undeniable. As Devin updated their security protocols that night, he added a new parameter: periodic monitoring of Lydia's status through secure channels. Not for reconciliation or forgiveness, but as acknowledgement that Theo might someday want answers Devin couldn't provide alone. The memory of a family built on deception had been shattered beyond repair. But from those fragments, Perhaps someday Theo could construct an understanding of his past that allowed him to move forward without the burden of simplified lies or crushing truths. Until that day came, Devin would continue doing what he had committed to from the moment he first held Theo, protecting him, guiding him, and ensuring that whatever shadows the past cast, they would not determine the shape of his future. Chapter 9. Ashes and Iron. 18 months after relocating to Portland, Devin sat in his home office reviewing security footage, a habit that had evolved from hypervigilance to routine maintenance as the immediate threat from Axiom faded. Theo, now 9, had adapted remarkably well to their new life. His academic performance exceeded grade level. His social circle had expanded to include several close friends, and the trauma-related symptoms had diminished to occasional bad dreams rather than regular night terrors. A notification appeared on Devin's secure communications channel, a message from Brooke Sawyer using their established emergency protocol. Containment breach. Primary subject. Immediate consultation required. Primary subject, Preston Mills. Devin initiated a secure video connection, Sawyer's face appearing on his monitor seconds later. Her expression confirmed the severity of the situation. When and how? Devin asked without preamble. 17 hours ago. Transport detail between medical facilities. Ambush, professional operation. For agents down. Sawyer's clipped tone reflected both urgency and anger. They knew the route, the security protocols, everything. Inside job. Has to be. We've identified 3 potential sources. Investigation ongoing. She paused. The conditioning appears to have been neutralized. Medical records from his last evaluation showed anomalies we missed. Evidence of counteragents in his system. Devin processed this information with cold efficiency. Who has him? Unknown, but we have indicators pointing to private interests in Eastern Europe. Telecommunications intercepts suggest a research facility in the Carpathian region. Former Soviet installation, repurposed. Purpose. Intelligence suggests they want the memory compound for political applications. Population-level compliance induction before upcoming elections. The implications were clear. Mills' expertise, combined with the compound's capabilities, created a threat beyond personal vengeance. This was now about preventing large-scale implementation of memory manipulation technology. I need to move Theo to secure holding, Devin decided immediately. Contingency Protocol, Charlie. Sawyer nodded. Already authorized. Extraction team en route to his school. ETA 12 minutes. I'll meet them at the primary safe house. What about Lydia? Secure. We implemented protective measures the moment the breach was confirmed. Sawyer hesitated. She's requesting direct contact. Says she has information about Mills' Eastern European connections from her reconstruction therapy. Devin considered this briefly. Granted, but in controlled conditions. No direct access to Theo. Understood. Within an hour, Devin had secured their home, activated dormant security protocols, and met the federal extraction team at a designated safe house outside Portland. Theo, though initially alarmed by the sudden disruption, had responded to the situation with the resilience Devin had carefully fostered. Just like our drills, right? Theo had asked as they entered the secure facility, Mr. Buttons clutched in one hand. Exactly like our drills, Devin confirmed. You're doing great, buddy. Now, as Theo settled into the safe house's living quarters under the supervision of trained personnel, Devin prepared for the operational briefing. 6 federal agents, plus Sawyer and 2 intelligence analysts, gathered in the facility's secure conference room. Mills was extracted for specific purpose, began senior analyst Diana Levine, displaying satellite imagery on the main screen. This compound in the Carpathian Mountains houses a research division of the Krasny Group, private military corporation with ties to Eastern European oligarchs. Their objective? Devin asked, studying the facility's layout. Mass production capability for the memory compound, adapted for water supply delivery systems. Target is the capital city, population 1.7 million. Deployment timeline coincides with upcoming presidential election, 4 weeks from now. Devin analyzed the tactical challenges presented by the mountain facility, Remote location, heavy security, difficult terrain. Standard infiltration isn't viable. Too well defended, too isolated. Agreed, Sawyer confirmed. This requires a different approach, which is why I've authorized a specific consultation. The conference room door opened, and Lydia entered, accompanied by 2 security officers. 18 months had changed her. Her auburn hair was shorter, her face thinner, her green eyes clear but cautious as they met Devin's. 19 months ago, I was debriefed about Krasny Group operations, she began without prelude. During my reconstruction therapy, those memories became accessible. I can identify key personnel, security protocols, and facility vulnerabilities. Devin maintained his professional demeanor, emotions firmly controlled. Reliability assessment. 70% confidence in critical details, Sawyer answered. Neurological markers indicate authentic memory recovery, verified against known intelligence. For the next hour, Lydia detailed what she knew. The Krasny Group structure, their connection to Mill's original research, facility access points that wouldn't appear on satellite imagery. Throughout, she remained focused and precise, the scientist she had been before Mill's conditioning evident in her methodical analysis. They'll keep Mills in the central laboratory, she concluded, indicating a section of the facility schematic. Maximum security, but also maximum access to required equipment. His value is his expertise. They'll prioritize his working conditions over isolation protocols. When a briefing concluded, the operational team began developing infiltration strategies based on the new intelligence. Devin remained behind as the others filed out, leaving him alone with Lydia for the first time since the airfield. "How is he?" she asked simply. "Resilient. Adapting well." Devin maintained emotional distance despite the complexity of seeing her again. He plays soccer now. Center midfielder. Very strategic. A small smile touched her lips. He always was good at thinking ahead. She hesitated. "Does he ever ask about me?" "Sometimes. Less frequently now." Devin offered the truth without unnecessary cruelty. "He keeps your picture from the Lake Tahoe trip on his nightstand." She nodded, absorbing this with visible effort to maintain composure. "I've completed the primary reconstruction therapy. The doctors say I've recovered approximately 60% of my authentic memories. The rest," she shrugged slightly, "the rest may never come back. But the conditioning is neutralized. As much as possible. I still have moments. Triggers they couldn't completely eliminate. But I recognize them now." She met his gaze directly. "I want to participate in the operation against Mills." The request was unexpected. "Why?" "Because I helped create this situation. Because I have skills and knowledge no one else does," Lydia said firmly. "And because I owe it to Theo to ensure Mills never threatens him again." Devin studied her with calculated assessment, weighing operational advantage against potential risk. "You'll remain under direct supervision at all times. Any deviation from mission parameters results in immediate extraction and permanent containment. Those are my terms." "Understood." Her acceptance was immediate and without qualification. "This doesn't change anything between us," Devin added, his voice hardening. "This is operational necessity, not reconciliation." "I know." A flash of pain crossed her features before she controlled it. "I don't expect forgiveness, Devin. Some betrayals can't be undone." The operation was assembled with precision over the next 72 hours. An elite team of 8 specialists, including Devin, Lydia, Vince, and 5 federal operatives with advanced tactical training. Their mission was straightforward but extraordinarily high risk. Infiltrate the Krasny facility, neutralize Mills, and destroy all research materials related to the memory compound. As the team prepared for deployment, Devin spent every available moment with Theo, maintaining the appearance of normalcy within the safe house environment. "How long will we need to stay here?" Theo asked as they played chess, his strategic thinking evident in a surprisingly sophisticated defensive position. "Just a little while longer," Devin assured him. "I need to take care of something important first." Theo studied the chessboard, then moved his knight with careful deliberation. "Is it about the bad people from before?" Devin considered how much truth was appropriate. Related, yes. But you don't need to worry. The security team here is excellent, and I'll be back before you know it. Promise. I promise I will do everything in my power to come back to you. Devin offered the most honest commitment he could, given the mission's risks. The night before deployment, after Theo was asleep, Devin recorded a video message, a contingency he hoped would never be needed. It contained everything Theo would eventually need to know about his origins, about Lydia, about the circumstances that had shaped their lives. Along with the video, he prepared comprehensive legal documentation ensuring Theo's future security, regardless of outcome. The deployment began at 0300 hours, a stealth transport delivering the team to a staging area 30 kilometers from the Krasny facility. As they prepared their equipment in the pre-dawn darkness, Devin conducted final mission briefing. Primary objective remains unchanged: neutralize Mills and all research materials. Secondary objective: secure data on Krasny Group's political connections for leverage. Tertiary: extract with minimal casualties on our side. He surveyed the team with cold authority. Questions? There were none. Each operative understood both the mission parameters and the stakes involved. The infiltration proceeded according to Lydia's intelligence. A maintenance tunnel not included in official schematics provided access beneath the facility's primary security perimeter. Vince's expertise with surveillance systems created a 30-minute window of camera blindness, allowing the team to reach the central building undetected. Inside, they separated into designated units. Vince led 2 operatives toward the data center. Another pair secured their extraction route. Devin, Lydia, and a federal operative named Torres proceeded to the central laboratory where Mills was most likely located. The laboratory level showed signs of intensive research activity, equipment running at full capacity, research materials in various stages of processing. But no Mills. He should be here, Lydia whispered, scanning the space with growing concern. Secondary location, Devin decided immediately. Private quarters. They located Mills' personal area 1 level above, a combination living space and private laboratory. As they prepared to breach, Devin's tactical instincts registered a warning. Too easy. Something wasn't right. The door opened before they could act, revealing Preston Mills sitting calmly at a desk, as if expecting them. Agent Mercer, Ms. Bennett, right on schedule. His cultured voice carried the same scientific detachment Devin remembered. I've been anticipating this reunion. Before Devin could respond, hidden panels in the walls slid open, revealing armed security personnel. Torres went down immediately, a precision shot to his shoulder incapacitating but not killing him. Please, don't resist, Mills continued conversationally. I have no particular desire for violence. This is merely containment. Devin assessed their tactical position, compromised, outnumbered but not yet defeated. You knew we were coming. Of course. Ms. Bennett's memory reconstruction was quite thorough, except for the fail-safe protocols I embedded during her original conditioning. Mills smiled thinly at Lydia. You led them here exactly as programmed, my dear. Your final mission assignment. Horror dawned on Lydia's face. No, the therapy neutralized the conditioning. It neutralized what I allowed it to neutralize. Mills turned to Devin. Did you really think I would create my most sophisticated asset without ensuring multiple layers of security? Every session of her recovery therapy was monitored through embedded neural markers. Every recovered, memory shaped to serve my purpose. Devin maintained his exterior calm, mind racing through contingency options. Which is? Continuation, of course. My work is too important to be interrupted by short-sighted governmental concerns or personal vendettas. Mills gestured to the laboratory equipment surrounding them. The Krasny Group provides resources, but you, Agent Mercer, provide something far more valuable: validation. Explain, Devin demanded, buying time as he subtly shifted position. Your exceptional resistance to influence made you the perfect test subject. If my techniques could overcome your psychological defenses through Ms. Bennett, they could work on anyone. Mills' clinical detachment faltered, revealing genuine scientific passion. And they did work. Beautifully. You, with all your counterintelligence training, never suspected the truth until I wanted you to. And now, why bring us here? Because I've refined the process. The next generation compound requires final calibration, testing against subjects with demonstrated resistance. You and Ms. Bennett represent ideal candidates. Mills nodded to his security team. Secure them for processing. In that moment, Lydia moved with unexpected speed, drawing a concealed weapon from her ankle holster and firing. Not at Mills or the security team, but at a canister of chemicals on a nearby workstation. The resulting explosion created instant chaos, filling the room with smoke and fumes. Devin capitalized immediately, neutralizing the nearest guard and retrieving his weapon. Through the smoke, he located Torres, still conscious despite his wound. Extraction protocol. Now, as facility alarms blared, Devin searched for Lydia, finding her engaged in hand-to-hand combat with one of Mills' security personnel. Her movements were precise and efficient. The training she'd received as Mills' operative now turned against his own people. "Mills is escaping," she shouted, nodding toward a concealed door slowly closing on the far side of the laboratory. Devin made an instant calculation: secure Lydia and Torres, ensuring extraction, or pursue Mills alone. The mission objective was clear, but the tactical situation had deteriorated significantly. "Go," Lydia urged, as if reading his thoughts. "I'll get Torres out. Stop Mills." Decision made, Devin moved toward the concealed door, slipping through moments before it sealed completely. Beyond lay a narrow corridor leading to what appeared to be a private hangar, Mills' personal escape route. The scientist was ahead, moving with surprising agility for a man of his age, accompanied by 2 armed guards. Devin advanced methodically, eliminating the first guard with a precision shot, then taking cover as the second returned fire. "This is disappointing, Agent Mercer," Mills called from behind a structural column. "All this effort, when we could be advancing human potential together. Your son would have been protected, provided for, a beneficiary of the new paradigm, not its enemy." "You threatened my child," Devin replied, his voice deadly calm as he maneuvered for a better position. "You used my wife against me." "Against him? That alone guarantees only one outcome from our interaction." Such absolute thinking, the hallmark of limited vision. Mills sighed audibly. "You see only the personal betrayal, not the scientific advancement. Memory itself becoming malleable, human experience refined and optimized. Think of the suffering that could be eliminated, at the cost of authentic choice. Self-determination." Devin had located a position that would give him clear line of sight when Mills moved toward the waiting aircraft. "That's not advancement. It's subjugation. A philosophical disagreement we'll have to resolve another time," Mills replied, nodding to his remaining guard, who provided covering fire as they made a final dash toward the aircraft. Devin waited for his moment, then took the shot, a clean trajectory that caught the guard center mass. As the man fell, Mills turned in apparent panic, revealing something Devin hadn't anticipated: a small remote detonator in his hand, thumb already pressing the activation button. "Fail-safe protocol," Mills shouted, his scientific demeanor cracking. "If I can't complete my work, no one will." Throughout the facility, explosive charges began detonating. A comprehensive self-destruct system designed to eliminate all evidence of the research. Devin maintained focus, advancing on Mills with implacable determination despite the chaos erupting around them. "You still don't understand," Mills said, backing toward the aircraft as structural supports began failing. This was never just about memory compounds or political influence. It was about evolutionary necessity, the next stage of human development. "No," Devin replied, weapon trained on Mills with unwavering precision. "It was about control. Your control. Your vision imposed on others without consent." A particularly violent explosion rocked the hangar, destabilizing the ceiling above them. As debris began falling, Mills made his final attempt at escape, diving toward the aircraft's open door. Devin's shot caught him mid-movement, a precision strike that ensured Mills would never threaten anyone again. The scientist crumpled at the aircraft's threshold, eyes wide with the realization that his life's work would end here, buried in the rubble of his own creation. With the facility collapsing around him, Devin made his way back toward the main laboratory complex, navigating through increasingly treacherous conditions. Emergency lighting flickered, smoke filled corridors, and structural integrity failed with each passing moment. His comms unit crackled with Vince's voice. Primary extraction route compromised. Secondary route active. East Service Tunnel. 3 minutes before total structural failure. Devin acknowledged, changing course toward the designated extraction point. As he navigated through the chaos, he encountered Lydia supporting Torres, who was weakened from blood loss but still conscious. Data center? Devin asked as he took Torres' weight, allowing Lydia to move more freely. Secured, she confirmed. Vince extracted all research files and destroyed the servers. Mills. Neutralized. No further explanation was needed. They proceeded toward the extraction point, the facility disintegrating around them. When part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking their primary route, Lydia immediately identified an alternative path through the maintenance systems. This way, she directed, leading them through a series of narrow utility passages. Ventilation system connects to the east tunnel. As they navigated the restricted space, Torres lost consciousness, making their progress more difficult. Devin and Lydia worked in coordinated silence, their shared objective temporarily overriding the complex history between them. Almost there, Lydia encouraged as they reached the final junction. Extraction point should be 50 meters ahead. Before they could proceed, another explosion, larger than previous detonations, collapsed the passage ahead, separating them from the extraction route. Superheated air rushed through the confined space, and Devin shielded Torres' unconscious form from the worst of it. When he looked up, he saw Lydia had been caught by falling debris, her lower body trapped beneath a structural beam. Despite obvious pain, her expression remained focused, analytical, assessing the situation with scientific precision. Weight distribution makes it impossible to lift without mechanical assistance, she stated calmly, meeting Devin's eyes. Structural integrity continuing to fail. You need to proceed with Torres immediately. Devin calculated rapidly. Time remaining, alternative routes, survival probabilities. Every scenario led to the same conclusion. One Lydia had already reached. There's a maintenance shaft 20 meters back, she continued, her breathing labored but controlled. It bypasses this section, connects with the east tunnel beyond the collapse. Lydia, we both know the tactical reality, Devin. Her voice remained steady despite the growing pain. One certain extraction versus probable loss of all three. The mission objective is clear. For a brief moment, something beyond operational assessment passed between them. Acknowledgement of what had been real beneath the layers of deception and manipulation. Not forgiveness, but recognition of the truth that existed alongside the betrayal. Tell Theo, she began, then stopped herself. No, whatever he remembers of me is enough. Just keep him safe. I will, Devin promised, this commitment absolute and unchanging. With no further words necessary, he secured Torres and retreated toward the maintenance shaft Lydia had identified. Behind him, the structural integrity of the facility continued deteriorating, flames advancing through compromised systems. The extraction proceeded as planned, Devin emerging with Torres at the designated point where Vince waited with transportation. As they departed, the Krasny facility collapsed entirely, becoming a funeral pyre for both Mills' ambitions and the woman who had been both victim and vector of his manipulation. 3 days later, debriefed and medically cleared, Devin returned to the safe house where Theo waited. The boy launched himself into his father's arms with unrestrained joy, his resilience once again evident in his adaptation to the disruption. You came back, Theo said, his faith in this outcome apparently never wavering. I promised I would, Devin replied, holding his son close. That night, after Theo was asleep, Devin sat alone in the safe house's small office, reviewing the operation's final report. Mills neutralized. Research destroyed. Data secured. Lydia Bennett confirmed deceased in facility collapse. Mission objectives achieved. The clinical language couldn't capture the complexity of what had actually transpired, the layers of manipulation, the fragments of genuine connection, the final sacrifice that defied Mill's programming. These nuances existed beyond official records, in the complicated truth Devin alone now carried. He accessed the video message he had recorded for Theo, considering whether it should be preserved or deleted. After careful reflection, he added a brief addendum, then secured it in an encrypted file with time-locked access, available only when Theo reached adulthood and could process the full complexity of his origins. 6 weeks later, with the immediate threat eliminated and no evidence of remaining Axiom or Krasny Group activity targeting them, Devin and Theo established a new life in Seattle. New identities, new home, new beginning, but with the security protocols and vigilance that remained their permanent reality. As autumn turned to winter, Theo continued to thrive, excelling academically, developing new friendships, his night terrors now rare occurrences rather than regular events. The resilience Devin had cultivated in him proved to be his greatest strength, allowing him to integrate the traumatic events into his understanding without being defined by them. One evening, as they walked along the waterfront near their new home, Theo asked the question Devin had been anticipating. "Dad, what really happened to Mom?" Devin considered his answer carefully, balancing truth against what a 9-year-old could comprehend. She was caught in a difficult situation with dangerous people. In the end, she made choices that helped keep you safe, but she couldn't save herself. Theo absorbed this, his expression thoughtful beyond his years. Was she a good person? The question cut to the heart of everything Devin had processed about Lydia. The deliberate deception, the programmed responses, but also the genuine care for Theo that had ultimately transcended Mill's conditioning. "People aren't simply good or bad, Theo," he replied finally. "Your mother made mistakes, some of them serious. But when it mattered most, she tried to protect you. That part was real." Theo nodded, accepting this complex truth with surprising maturity. "I'm glad you're my dad," he said simply, taking Devin's hand as they continued their walk. In that moment, Devin recognized the fundamental truth that had emerged from the wreckage of betrayal and manipulation. Family wasn't defined by biology or perfect history, but by choice, commitment, and unwavering protection. The life he and Theo were building now wasn't founded on the falsehoods of the past, but on the authenticity of their connection and the security Devin would always ensure. As they turned toward home, Devin maintained his habitual situational awareness, scanning their surroundings with practiced precision. The vigilance that had kept them alive would never diminish, a permanent adaptation to the reality of threats that could emerge from shadows. But alongside that vigilance existed something equally powerful, the determination that Theo would grow up not just safe, but whole, defined by possibility rather than traumatic history. The betrayals that had shattered their former life would never be forgiven or forgotten. Devin Mercer was not a man who offered second chances to those who threatened what he valued most. But he was a father who could ensure that his son's future remained unconstrained by the machinations that had nearly destroyed them both. That uncompromising protection was his most fundamental promise, one he would keep with the same ruthless determination that had dismantled Axiom, neutralized Mills, and created this new beginning from the ashes of calculated deception. Some men might have been broken by such comprehensive betrayal. Devin Mercer had instead been forged by it into something stronger. A father whose love for his son was the one absolute truth that no memory compound or manipulation could ever compromise. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.